Welcome to the Be Magnetic podcast, where we ignite deep abundance and step into soul-led success without losing joy, freedom, or peace. This is for the woman who is bored, disconnected, and exhausted trying to win a game she doesn't want to play anymore. If your soul is calling for more flow, more ease, more magic, but you're not sure how to get there, get ready to become magnetic and create a life that is as juicy and abundant as you've always dreamed it could be. Hi and welcome back to the Be Magnetic podcast. Today's episode is for you if your life has been feeling dull and you're craving more magic, more juicy pleasure, and being turned on by life again, then yeah, this episode is perfect. We're going to talk about how to romanticize your life and what that even means. I know romanticizing your life is such a trendy term, but yeah, there is some powerful potential in it. So I want to uncover that today. Because so often we say that we want more space, right? We want more flow, we want more presence, we want more peace. But when life then slows down, we start to panic and we numb and we then start scrolling. We fill the empty space with thoughts and the next thing and the next action. And we're like, okay, what can I do next? What do I have to do next? Isn't there any responsibility that I need to take care of? And today I want to talk about the real reason your dream life doesn't feel like magic yet, because I do believe that at least most of the women that I work with, they do actually live their dream life, at least to a very big extent. And most of the time for them, what's missing to like the full big picture vision is actually just the way they're feeling, and they're craving this space, they're craving this slowness, this like feminine essence within their everyday. And the reason this magic is missing is not because there's not enough time or space, and it's also not because they've been working too hard. I mean, yes, some sure, but it's also because you're not using the time and the space correctly. So the way this shows up for a lot of people is that, when we start then implementing white space, when we start to implement more free time, more time for self-care, they'll fill it with other things, right? So maybe it's even been you and you've been working really hard before, and then you took a step back and you stopped working so hard, but then you had all this time on your hands and you didn't really know what to do with it, and so you started just filling it with useless activities that at the end don't really bring you that pleasure, that juiciness, the like magic. And so my intention with today's episode is to change that and to show you how you can romanticize your life so that it actually feels like magic. So the biggest aspect of romanticizing your life is to honor the feminine urge to make life a ceremony. What does that mean? Well, as women, as human beings who have a very strong feminine energy within us present, like the feminine does want to ritualize, it does want to live in ceremony, does want to make life romantic. It wants to, like, the feminine has a natural urge to make life magical, to make the mundane beautiful. And a lot of times we skip over that urge because we think we don't have time, or we are too busy, or we are too caught up in the masculine doing and getting shit done and like crossing things off the list. And so really the first thing that you can do to romanticize your life is just to honor that feminine urge to make life a ceremony and actually like romanticize the heck out of the mundane, to create space and time for like to make the ordinary things magical. If that looks like, you're lighting a candle before you sit down on your computer, or you're actually like taking the time to make a cup of tea or make a cup of hot chocolate or coffee, and you like quietly sip that while you're working, and like you're taking like simple breaks every time, like 5 minutes or so, to like tune in, to sit, to breathe, or I don't know, like taking extra time to decorate your food, your meal when you prep that, or taking extra time for skincare after you showered instead of like jumping right back into the clothes and like getting on to the next task. Yeah, like try to bring magic within the everyday things, right? And like your like the I'd say like spiritual tools in quotation marks are your best friend, like candles, Palo Santo, crystals, like anything that feels like decorative for you is your best friend when it comes to like flowers. Oh my God, flowers. Like these are your best friends when it comes to just ritualizing the mundane moments, the everyday moments, and bringing some more magic into that. Like even just taking some time to clean your space before you get on to the next task, or like decorating your home in ways that really uplift you. All these are like tiny ways to romanticize your life. The next thing is then also to honor the fact that rituals will not only improve your quality of life, but your quality of service also. So, I mean, I am a spiritual guide, I'm a spiritual mentor. So, of course, I do start all my sessions with some sort of a ritual. But even if you're like a more, I'd say, like hands down service provider, like maybe a web designer, social media manager, or you're like a business coach or something else, you can still ritualize your everyday tasks. Like I said, you can like create this really fun ritual before you jump on client calls, or you create this really fun ritual to before you start your workday, and then after you end your workday, you can celebrate your lunch break, and that will then also improve your quality of service, because when you actually take the time to create space for the things that you're doing, then you will do the things with more attention to detail, with more love, with more pieces of yourself. And there's this word called Meraki, which is basically referring to putting a piece of yourself into everything you do. And that's exactly what's happening when you ritualize your life. You start to put Meraki, a piece of yourself, into everything you do, and then the output of that becomes more powerful because you've just put a piece of your soul, a piece of yourself into the thing. Your feminine essence deserves to be awakened, and rituals, ceremonies, that is the way to awaken it. That's the way to actually bring more of that pleasure, more of that ease, more of that joy into your life. It's about doing things slower, not just creating space to chill, not just sleeping in the morning, but actually like attention to detail, actually like making things pretty, making things look aesthetic. And I know aesthetic is such a, what's the word? Like trendy thing. And you don't have to be an aesthetic person, you don't have to appreciate aesthetics too much, but your feminine essence, she does appreciate aesthetics. And if you allow yourself to dress up, if you allow yourself to make things pretty, you're gonna feel naturally more pleasure and more joy in everyday life. And like laying on the couch there with nothing to do, yes, it might be creating the juiciness that you're craving at some point, but if you do that every single day, it's not gonna make you feel better. So if you wanna have a more magical life, if you wanna live more with your feminine essence, you gotta acknowledge the desire of the feminine for beauty, for aesthetics, for rituals, for magic. So take everything slow and do it with intention. Start to set intentions before everything. Like, how do you want to do this? How do you want to show up to creating content today? How do you want to show up to posting on stories today? How do you want to show up to seeing your family today? How do you want to show up to seeing your clients today, right? Pause for a moment before you start doing a thing and then set an intention. And that's kind of also where these rituals really kind of come in, where you can make it part of your ritual to set an intention, to pause and to just tune in and like approach what you do with a bit more quality. Obviously, creating space is also super important. If you're busy all the time, it's not gonna really help you. But when it comes to creating space, it is really important to understand that the quality of the space that you're creating is so much more important. And it's kind of what I referred to in the beginning of this episode when I said that it's often not the actual time that's lacking, but the quality. Because what happens a lot is when we create space and time, we will then fill it with things like watching stuff on social media or watching TV or even like reading or thinking, strategizing. Like I catch myself all the time when I have space to just like go and think about my next project or go think about the like thing that I'm manifesting, like the next, like the vision that I'm holding, things like that. And yes, there is a time and space for that, but also when I say creating space means actually creating space to be present with yourself, actually creating space for the feminine instead of like then strategizing in a different way while laying on the couch. Like stop strategizing and start maybe connecting with women, right? Or like actually going on a walk or taking a bath or something that awakens the pleasure and the joy within you. And you can make a list. If you don't know what that is, you can make a list and ask yourself, okay, what does make me feel magical and juicy and filled with pleasure and really turned on by life? What are these things? And fill that space that you've created with those things, or just let the space be there, right? Just take an hour to sip coffee and do nothing. That's so awesome. That's so nurturing for your divine feminine. Allow yourself to be soft, and that I refer to in all aspects of life. Yes, in business, but also within your relationship with yourself. Allow yourself to be soft. That is a huge way of how to romanticize your life. If you allow yourself to be soft, not have everything in control, not be leading all the time in a way that means delegating or remembering, like micromanaging, but allow yourself to be soft. Allow yourself to be like, okay, I don't have to do anything right now. I can just be here. I let everyone else take care of their shit and I'm just like with me for a second here. And you notice when you soften, when you surrender, when you let go, then the world around you steps up. Your partner steps up, your team steps up, everyone around you steps up, and they step in where you've just surrendered. And a big part of, for me, romanticizing my life is being able to be taken care of, to not have to worry, to actually have a mental capacity to enjoy the little moments of life instead of worrying about the things that I need to remind my husband of, or the things that I need to delegate, or the things that I need to add to my to-do list because no one else does them. Instead of doing that, like if I want to romanticize my life, I've noticed that just surrendering and like trusting and letting go and like softening and like being present and being like, I don't need to do anything. Like, don't need to take care of anything, don't need to remind anyone of anything, don't need to hold responsibility. That to me is the definition of a romantic, beautiful life. And then even more romantic life gets when my husband steps in and be like, hey, can I help you? Or when someone else be like, I just did this for you. And I'm like, yes, thank you so much. This is what I needed. So allow yourself to soften, allow yourself to surrender and let the world take care of you for once. And then make everything look pretty. I feel like I've already touched on this, but yeah, like make things look pretty. Allow yourself to decorate the food or dress nicely or rearrange your room in a way that makes you feel really good. Even like doing your makeup, doing your hair, like dressing up. This is another way of honoring your feminine, honoring the magic that you want to see in your life. And then the last thing that I have here that I want to bring to you when it comes to romanticizing your life is to experience over exercise. And what I mean by this is that oftentimes we approach life with this mindset of like, we have to get shit done, we have to exercise things, we have to do things in order for things to happen. And while that to some extent is true, we have to take action, we have to do things so that we can create an outcome. I want you to think less about doing things and rather about experiencing things. So there is a big difference between just getting shit done, crossing things off your to-do list so that you can move forward and so that things can happen and your vision can come to life. Or the other approach would be to make everything in your life an experience. Ask yourself, okay, instead of just crossing everything off of my to-do list and exercising the responsibilities and tasks that I have, how can I make them more fun? How can I bring this extra, like, juiciness into it? How can I make this an experience? And a big part of that, again, is going to be the rituals and like the romanticizing things, like actually doing the ceremony around it, doing things with intention. But it's just the mindset of being like, okay, I want to make life an experience. I want to make every client call an experience. I want to make every time I sit down to create content an experience. I want to make showing up on social media an experience. I want to make doing the household chores an experience. I want to do making laundry an experience instead of just exercising these things. That is the single most impactful thing of how you can romanticize your life. And I feel like it's also this full circle moment where in the end, romanticizing your life just simply means you make it more pretty, you make it more beautiful, you make it more intentional. And if you approach life with a mindset of experience versus exercise, you are automatically making life more romantic because you're more prone to then doing rituals, then setting intentions or doing things slower and like softening, things like that. So that being said, if you do want to awaken this version of you who leads from deep feminine power, I have created a free guide, Embody Her, that will take you through powerful embodiment exercise to awaken this version of you who leads with more feminine power, who romanticizes her life, who lives this magical experience that your soul is craving right now. It's linked in the show notes below, so feel free to download that. And if you have been here for a while, you can book yourself in for an unbecoming session. It's a sacred recalibration for the woman who is already created success but whose soul is longing for a new fire to be sparked. We will cover identity work, we will cover like masculine feminine dynamics in there and just help you embody this version of you who lives and leads in life in the way that you crave to live and lead with your feminine essence right now. Your life deserves to feel magical and you have all the tools to make it magical. Remember that romanticizing your life is not so much about doing certain things, but rather about doing things with intention and about making life an experience versus an exercise. Make sure to also dive into some of the related episodes that I have linked in the show notes. There's one that is coming out next week and then a couple more in the following weeks. I will be talking more about shame around ambition and feminine magnetism, also the grief around becoming that, and the rise of the feminine, leading with energy, not just strategy. So those are the episodes that are coming up. I hope you come back for more of that in the next few weeks. And if you have been loving this episode, please let me know your feedback. It's always highly appreciated. I love reading your DMs, and I'm always so grateful for everyone who supports the show. So thank you so much, and until next time, bye!